Welcome back to the Loretta McNary Show. So, there are champions we celebrate for what they achieve, and then there are those champions we remember for what they have overcome. Today's guest, Val Whiting, is both of those. From leading at Stanford University to becoming a two-time NCAA champion and competing in the WNBA, she built a career defined by excellence, discipline, and undeniable talent. But behind those trophies, behind all those titles, she was facing a battle that many high performers all know too well. Everybody, welcome to the Loretta McNary Show, Val Whiting. Hi there.
Hi.
I am so inspired by your story. We did a lot of research, and I'm telling you, your story needs to be shouted from the mountaintop because it's not only athletes who go through this, but a lot of people. I mean, I went through it, right? I went through performing and getting the accolades and then going home and wondering what just happened or am I deserving of it? So, my first question to you is before the championships and the professional career, who were you at your core?
At my core, I was a shy, awkward ninth grader who had just learned how to play basketball and only played because my math teacher asked me to come out and had no exposure to sports. Only sport I played was tag, and playing basketball gave me my voice and gave me courage to speak out and to be myself.
That is so interesting. And did I read correctly that you're like 6'3"?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I've
I'm sure everybody was pushing you to basketball. Like that's the only thing tall people can do. And tall is relative, right?
Yeah,
So
that's funny. No one really pushed my both my parents played basketball and neither one of them said, go out for basketball. Only my math teacher in seventh grade saw that I was tall and said, "Oh, why don't you come try basketball?" But I think it's when you think about women's sports back then, it wasn't as big as it was now.
right.
So
It
everybody,
wasn't probably an option. Yeah, I get
yeah,
it. It makes a lot of sense when you say, yeah, like, yeah, because she's female, she's a girl. So nobody, but my sons, they were all thinking they all play sports. And
yes.
half of them did, and half of them was just brainiacs, right? So you say you were shy growing up. So how did you manage being a part of a team, and especially one where I think you were a power forward when you were in the WNBA and in college. So how did you merge those two extroverted lifestyle being an introvert?
Yeah, it's interesting. My on-court personality is totally different, and I still am an introvert. Um, when I got on the court, and a lot of players when on the court, they're it's a different persona. Um, you're aggressive, you're calling for the ball, you're being a leader, you're telling people where to go, and it just came out of me. No one ever taught it. It's just something that um, I developed by playing, and I had parents that believed in me and pushed me in a positive way. But yeah, the different personalities, it's crazy. If my personality that was on the court, off the court, I'd probably be like in jail or something because you're just so aggressive and so blunt and obviously respectful, but it's just a different vibe.
A whole different vibe. So when did you know that basketball that you were having issues? Maybe you love the accolades and all that, and everybody else seemed to just enjoy it 24/7. But at what point did you say, you know what, this is not communicating well with my spirit or my soul? I'm having problems separating. Was it depression or anxiety that you first started feeling? And at what point did that start happening?
The point that I felt that it affected my career because I struggled with depression earlier when I got cut from the Olympic team. But what it really affected my career, when I stepped away from basketball, is when I played in the WNBA. In '99, my first season, I was a rookie at 27. Um, and I don't even know what prompted it or why I spiraled in terms of getting depression. But when I was in the W, I was on and off the injured reserve. And there would be times when a coach wanted to put me in the game and I would shake my head, no, I don't want to go in. And then I end up taking the subsequent season off for depression, the whole season off 2000, because the game that I loved so much was making me sad. And a lot of it stemmed from I didn't have the mental skills, the sports psychology skills, and tools to battle the perfectionism, bouncing back from a mistake, being over analytical, being too hard on myself. And I just spiraled and it just got pretty bad.
Wow, I was at a city current event here, and they had another WNBA player. She was out of Tennessee. I wish I could think of her name right now. And she also was saying the same thing, that she was winning on the court, but when she wasn't playing, she was battling depression, all the negative messages. And so, what do you think? What kind of tools do you provide now through your organization, through your company, that weren't provided for you, that have been key for you to recover and to overcome all of that?
Well, the first thing is then I kept it all inside. I didn't have anyone to talk to, and I was truly embarrassed. And I didn't even tell anyone that I took a season off for depression until 2020. Everybody thought it was because they put in the papers personal reasons. So first step is acknowledging and getting the help you need by speaking to someone, not just holding it in. The second tools things that I do now with female athletes is that we do visualization, self-talk. A lot of athletes, including myself, we talk to ourselves like we're our worst critics, not our best friends. So what's your thought life, your self-talk? What's that like? How to bounce back from mistakes instead of holding them on, how to get a mistake ritual or a bounce back routine so you're not holding on to mistakes, and letting go of being perfect. And that's the hardest thing I've seen with athletes that I work with. They want it to be perfect. They want the perfect game. They want the perfect race. And they don't want to win imperfectly. They want everything to be, in place. And I think that's how we are as a society. If you think about Instagram, the perfect pictures and social media and the videos, everyone's best face forward. No one's ever showing the flaws that we have. And that when I work with athletes, that's one of the things we work on, is letting go of perfection and just accepting your performance, what it is, good, bad, or ugly.
Okay, so I want to talk about your business too, but I still want people to understand, especially for those who are battling in silence like you did, and so many other, not only athletes, but just professionals in whatever field. We make a mistake and then we beat ourselves up on that mistake. So being on the court when everything is live and it's going, say you miss a shot or you didn't get a rebound or something, what's in your mind? Are you beating yourself up while you move on to the next thing? Do you get stuck there? And then how do you get unstuck to go to the next thing? Because I think that's crucial in life too, not just basketball.
Yeah, most athletes don't have I call it a reset routine or mistake ritual. Turn the ball over, we're still thinking about the last turnover while we're running down the court or we're in the next possession. And what I teach is a reset routine. First of all, you have to have a word that you say that means something to you. I've had people use confident, free, carefree. I'm, strong. It could be a phrase as well. And also do some kind of physical motion, whether it's brush off or clap. I've had athletes wipe the bottom of their shoes with their hands and then take a deep breath, and it's forgotten. That's the key. But the thing is, you have to do it in practice first. Just like anything, your brain needs reps, right? You're building new habits. If your old habit was to hold on mistakes, when you hold on to your mistake when you make it, then when push comes to shove, that's what you're going to do. But when we start developing new habits, building new neural pathways by doing it in practice, then it becomes second nature in the game. So that's the key, is not just, I'm going to try this next game I play. It's not going to work. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to work. Do it in practice, get good at it, and then apply it in the games.
Okay, so what point in your career did you decide, you know what? I know if I'm going through this, there possibly are other athletes going through it, and you decided to create Coach Val. Tell me about that process and what was your inspiration for creating your company?
What it started during the pandemic. I was working for a nonprofit and I got laid off and I went to TikTok. I was like, I have all this time. And my son was helping me. Like, Mom, why don't you make a TikTok account? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it for female athletes and all things around women's sports. And I noticed that I was getting a lot of questions about sports psychology, and kids were ask me, my confidence is down when a coach takes me out. What do I do? Or I have anxiety before a game, and I was getting a lot of those questions. Like, there's a need for this, and I've always been interested in sports psychology just because of what I went through as an athlete. And I said, let me get more training. So I went and got some certifications. And then I said, I still don't know enough. Then I went back to school and got my master's in sport and performance psychology. And so I've been working with athletes individually as well as teams since
Mhm.
2020. And I changed the name of my business to MentallyStrongHer because I wanted it to represent what I want female athletes to come out when they are from working with me and from using the tools that I give them. And I don't want female athletes to go through what I went through. So that's why I'm really passionate about this. And I also know that working with a one-on-one coach is expensive. So I created an academy, a group community for female athletes that's really accessible. So female athletes can work together, learn mental skills, learn from each other, learn from me, and see that they're not the only ones going through it at an extremely affordable price. So that's what I wanted to do, is to get to as many athletes as possible instead of one at a time when I work with them privately.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Okay, I'm watching the time. So, how do you help athletes or your clients understand that their worth is not really tied to their performance or winning all the time? That it is just, you are just, you're valuable because you're a person. So, how do you help them when they're driven to win all the time and have that perfect game?
Yeah, we do something called being present moment focused when we're in the game, so they're not focused on the outcome, because athletes want, you want to win. I want to score 20 points, or I want to win this tennis match. And we start focusing on the outcome and putting more pressure on ourselves about the outcome. I bring them more back to the purpose, the present, the purpose, and their journey, and enjoying the journey that they're in instead of worrying about the outcome. And that makes it more enjoyable. Now, when it comes to releasing who you are from your sport, that takes a lot of work,
Hmm.
because and that's something I struggled with when I retired from basketball. I was basketball and basketball was me. And that what helps with that is a lot of work around identity, journaling, thinking about taking that 30,000-foot view of your sport and yourself, thinking about long term, writing about who you are outside of basketball or track or cross country. I do an exercise called the confidence resume, where they write down everything that's amazing about them, and they always constantly look back on that when they're not feeling great about themselves. So it's a lot of different things, but identity work is, I think, some of the toughest work that I do.
I agree. Ooh, I agree. I even wrote a book about it because I was forced through an accident. I was walking in Brooklyn Lake, yada yada yada, and I didn't have anywhere to go. I couldn't go anywhere, so I was forced to do the internal work. And let me tell you, it was difficult. But I'm so happy. I'm so much stronger, more confident, more impactful. Once I've done that work, I can show up more authentically. So I need to have another conversation with you on this because I know it will help anybody, because we all want to, like you said, we watching it somebody's best Instagram reel, comparing it to our worst day, to their made
Mhm.
up day or real day, and think we're losing or we're not as great as they are. So it is really important to have the mental check-ins and then seek professional help. or hire a coach, but you got to do something. It doesn't just go away because you think you ignored it or go away. It doesn't, does it? Do you think it just goes away if you don't do the
No,
work?
no, it's kind of like that injury you ignore, and you're like, I'm not going to go to the doctor, and then one day it really flares up, and you go to ER. So
Mm,
it's like that when you ignore the work that you're supposed to do on yourself, and
yeah.
then there's a blow up, and then it's all hands on deck. So no, definitely cannot just ignore it.
You cannot ignore it. So where can we find you for more information, to connect with you, to get you to come do a keynote on this? How do people find you?
I guess the best way is Instagram, and my handle is I am Coach Val, and that'd be
I
the easiest way.
Okay. I'm just so grateful to have you as my guest. And I did my research and I'm like, she should be doing keynotes all over the place, because being so vulnerable and transparent was something that most people don't want to talk about. And especially women and African American women, we weren't taught that, right? It's
Yeah.
culturally, you just don't talk about mental
Mhm.
health or your bad day. So I'm so glad that you have decided that helping people is more important than what your ego is telling you not to do it, or if it's ever told you that. So they can go to Instagram and find you. So thank you for sharing with us today, because you just don't understand that you are reaching people right where we need to be reached. And you are a prime example of, you do the work, you can't overcome. So thank you so much for being my guest on the Loretta McNary Show. And hopefully you will stop by again.
I'd
We can
love
do this
to.
all over.
I would love to. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. So we do have another segment coming up, so don't go too far. There will be more Loretta McNary Show coming up in just a moment.